Hi, Steve Summers and Eric Scoble for educ.com. Eric, we just finished a media availability with Coach Dana Altman. The Ducks play Washington State this weekend here at home.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to try to get a little bit more revenge. This is kind of the repeat portion of the schedule. I talked about that a little bit last week. Oregon State was the first team they played. Sorry about that. That they'd already played before, and they were able to beat Oregon State obviously over the weekend. Now an opportunity to get another win over a team they'd lost to previously in Washington.
The Ducks have 6 more games left in the season, plus the Pac-12 tournament. They're at 16 wins. If they can somehow squeeze out 4 or 5 wins, 4 wins gives them another 20-win season. But up first is Washington.
Yeah, and Washington was another tight ball game. It kind of started that trend of losing tough games at the end of the game. If you recall, C.J. Wilcox hit a couple of deep jump shots on Oregon, kind of to close it out. So he's going to be a key this weekend. And obviously on short days rest here, it's going to be tough. And Washington playing with 3 days rest. Oregon didn't even have a day off. I mean, Monday they were out here, Tuesday they're out here both for a couple of short practices. We'll kind of see where the legs are after a big win over Oregon State, but one that probably took a little bit more energy than they would have liked.
Well, I got here a little bit early, and I had an opportunity to watch the Ducks come out and take some jump shots. Coach Altman came out really focused on fundamentals when working and talking with these guys. So during our little availability, I asked him about fundamentals, and he said that's the point.
Well, even in the close win this last weekend, there were, a number of really kind of silly mistakes that they made, and he talked about a couple of those. You'll see those on the video. But yeah, absolutely. When you're in a tight ball game, it can be the smallest thing, and you just got to have the right mindset and the right preparation in order to kind of prevail.
Well, the one thing that happened in the Oregon State game, which I thought during the losses that they've had, they've been close on so many games, and it really comes down to the final 2 minutes against Oregon State. In the final 2 minutes was the Oregon jump shooting and getting to the free throw line that made the difference.
Yeah, well, you look back at they've had leads in all of those close losses, and rather than kind of let another one of those leads fall away. I think they led by 2 with about 5 minutes to go. They actually kind of surged to the crest and outscored Oregon State down the stretch. So that was good to see. And, Washington might be another close ball game. They're going to need to finish it the same way and kind of hopefully improve on that kind of closeout mode that they struggled with so much this year.
Now, a guy that sort of surprised everybody with putting in some good minutes was Waverly Austin.
Absolutely, and he had been a guy who'd started all season, up until about conference play, and the expectation was that he was going to kind of take that Tony Woods role, where he's a big guy who's going to be able to defend the rim, and frankly, he's the only guy on the team who's big enough and capable enough to do that, and they didn't get any production out of him in Pac-12 play, didn't even play in a handful of games, and then came out against Arizona State, did a good job against Jordan Baczynski in the second half, was kind of a big part of that rally. And then against Oregon State, I thought was a real difference maker. Didn't really make any mistakes, and they're hoping that kind of carries over this week.
Well, in a game of 2-minute spurts where a team can get on a run and make some hay while they can, sometimes that coming out and playing defense like Waverly did, protecting the rim, that might be all it takes to put the team over the top.
Yeah, Oregon has been such a good jump shooting team in stretches this year, but one of the issues they've had all season is defending the rim. And so if they can get a guy, if it's Waverly Austin, it's Richard Amarty who just ran by us actually. If one of those guys can be kind of that rim protector and a stalwart on defense, that can only help them quite a bit. They kind of need that right now.
Well, the Ducks play tomorrow night here at Matthew Knight Arena against Washington. Tip-off time is 6 o'clock, and I'll rely on you. Who's carrying the game?
It's either ESPN or ESPN2.
All right.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure if you flip around, you can find it, or you can, better yet, come and attend the game if you have the opportunity.
Well, there are plenty of great seats. It's a great arena to come in and watch a basketball game. So for those of you who are in the Eugene area, come out and support the Ducks. Then on Sunday, it's Washington State.
Yeah, and obviously Oregon, probably the one game that they've played really well throughout was Washington State, and there were still some sloppy times there, but Washington State up in Pullman was kind of the one game where they really came together and were able to put together a real solid game and win going away, and they'll obviously hope to carry that through this weekend. It's going to be a little bit different with Washington State than it was the first time. They were kind of banged up. Some of those guys are kind of coming back. We'll see how that affects it. But really, if you're Oregon, you should feel pretty decent about this next couple of games at home. Washington only one conference win on the road, and Washington State's been pretty bad just overall. So 2 very winnable games, and games they definitely need if they're going to try to have that big second half run like Jonathan Lloyd talked about.
Well, we're going to be covering. You'll be here at the game. I'll be in EDUC chat room with game day game chat. So please join me if you have the opportunity and so wish to do so. So Eric, we'll look forward to your report tomorrow following the game. So for Eric Scopel, this is Steve Summers for EDUC.com.